Hey everyone, it's me, Alicia. I am back with another Money, Power, Respect Revival interview. I have with me today the lovely Dawn Reby. Dawn, please let us know a little bit about yourself, why you're coming to us, and why you're excited to speak about the topic of money, power, and respect.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this topic because it's something that I've experienced in my own life, coming from, a law enforcement environment and wearing lots of masks and really knowing what it's like to be rising in ranks and leadership as a civilian, and hiding so much at home. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. And I'm so excited to be part of a platform that shares a great message to other amazing, powerful women who might just not feel that way in the moment. So thank you for having me.
That is a great introduction. And I think that's a great point where we get to just kind of anchor into right now. You can be powerful and full of respect and be in a place where you just don't feel like it right now, you know? So, how do you connect to the truth about who you are and what you're worth and what you get to do and have, even when it doesn't feel like that in the moment? Have you had any experience with coming to grips with those two realities?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for me, I have this bubble chart that I use that I go back to, and I'm going to share it with all of you. That
Great.
really helps me get centered and focused on what I want in life and just revisiting it on a regular basis and really connecting with the power in my heart and in my mind. And knowing that even if in that moment I'm not feeling that way, and when I open up my life by design document,
Mhm.
I pour into it, I receive it, whatever path it needs at that moment, and that really does anchor me in moving forward to knowing that I am powerful and I am strong, and the people around me are too. So that would be my special tool.
Well, that's really awesome. I think having something like that that's written down, that's tangible, that's visible, something you can put your hands on, is helpful to kind of take you out of the spin of a moment when it doesn't feel like that at all. So I think that's a great tip that you bring that up, that when you're feeling it, you get to put it down somewhere where you can grab onto it when you need it, because we know that that will and does happen.
Yeah.
So thanks for that tip. Would you let us know a little bit more about something that you have lived through that's helped you kind of establish the truth about yourself in a
Mhm.
powerful way? I know that a lot of times we have to learn lessons the hard way or
Yeah.
come about knowledge in a way that we might not have otherwise. You know, we have to live our own journey and go through our own experiences so that we can come to a realization for ourselves. So, would you share with us a little bit about something in your life that helped you to connect to the truth about your money, power, and respect?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually 18 years old when I had my first daughter. And so I was living in a low income community.
Hmm.
I was a young mom. I was a sophomore in college. I had no father around, my daughter's
Hmm.
father. And I really was committed to getting things done and getting them done well. And
Good.
so I climbed and climbed. I went to school year round, 7 classes a semester, worked full time, got multiple degrees, and thought, this is it. Like I'm not going to be like everybody else in my area who was having babies and just sitting on welfare, right? I
Right.
really used the system, the way it was supposed to be used to bring me to the next step,
Hmm.
and and went to school and really did my thing. And I got inserted into a police agency in 1998, my very first police department when my daughter was very little. And I knew I really wanted to prove myself because I felt like I could be more than just a regular mom for her. I could be an amazing mom for her. And
Wow.
so Yeah. And so for years and years, I studied, I did all these extra things to really align myself well, and bought houses and somehow figured out life, right?
Right.
But I hadn't really figured out the relationship thing. I figured out the career thing. I went from 19 to 20, and 22 or 23, maybe somewhere around there, I bought my first house, and a short time after that, my second house. And so I felt really achieved. I started working for the government, flying all over the country, and teaching and doing all kinds of amazing career things. And
It
so
sounds
very
amazing.
proud. Yeah, yeah. First person in my family to get, go to school, never mind grad school. So it was really a big deal. And in that process of achieving, I wore like this cover up
Mm.
with anything that could go wrong. So nothing could go wrong, right?
Hmm.
And so
Because
uh,
that's possible.
yes, right. So I was like this achiever,
Hmm.
and I really wanted to give my daughter the things that she deserved. The dance, the gymnastics, the mom who had it together. I really wanted to
Right.
give her everything, and so I did for a long time. And I didn't really date a whole lot, right? Because
Hmm.
that to me was like a path of I really didn't. Want to fail at anything, right? And so years later, when my daughter was around 13 years old, I met somebody, and my
Okay.
heart completely fell for this person very, very quickly. And very quickly, we were in a relationship, and we were planning another child, right?
Mm.
This is, I don't know, 10 years or so ago, 12 years ago. We were planning another child. And as soon as I got pregnant, everything changed. My life flipped upside down in my work environment. I was, in this law enforcement environment, wearing a suit every day as a civilian, climbing up. And at home, I was not healthy at all. I thought I was going crazy, actually.
Mm.
And I remember after I gave birth to my daughter, just feeling so trapped, so just confined and at home, and just excelling in all these other areas. So
Right.
I was the one my friends came to talk to when they had a problem, but I really couldn't reciprocate it because of that perfection bubble I was living in.
Mm.
And so I accepted a lot of things in my home life that I cringe at right now. I accepted someone treating me very, very poorly,
Yeah.
and I accepted them doing that behind closed doors where no one else could see. And
Yeah.
um, and I would show up at work where my role at work was analytics. So I would read rape reports and domestic violence reports of broken bones, and babies getting abused, and houses getting broken into. And I really kind of desensitized myself a little bit to what was going on in my own world because it
Oh,
wasn't that
wow.
bad. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And so eventually I had the courage to leave this person.
Hmm.
It's one of the hardest things I ever did in my life.
Yeah.
Had the courage to leave this person and fled to another state, restraining order in hand. And we really struggled. Me and my girls really struggled for a long time, or me really struggled
Hmm.
for a long time on the inside. On the outside, everyone still thought I
Right.
was perfect. They're just like, oh my gosh, you're, teaching all over the country, and you're, working for this police agency, and you're executing this and executing that. And I was, but
Hmm.
inside I wasn't. Inside I was
Right.
lonely. Inside I was torn. Inside I was afraid.
Yeah.
Inside it was all these things that nobody saw on the outside.
Hmm.
And I liked it that way.
Right. So I have a question.
Yes.
I know that you mentioned that you had this kind of barrier up. You said it was your perfection bubble. And I know that that was to not let out what you felt like you were having to hide in your home life. But do you think that that also prevented you from being able to let in any kind of help, from your own circle? Did you think about that?
So at the time, I didn't. At the
Mhm.
time, I didn't. At the time, I thought, no, you're in control. You have gone through teen pregnancy. You have gone through all these things. You have control. And
Right.
that's what I really thought. I thought that if anyone knew what was really going on, they wouldn't think as highly of me, or they
Mm,
wouldn't consider
wow.
my professionalism as professional. And so
Right.
I really didn't make that connection until one day things got pretty bad, and I called a friend of mine, Jennifer, at 10 o'clock at night. Now, nothing happens in my world at 10 o'clock at night.
Uh-huh.
So she knew something was wrong, and she didn't ask any questions. She showed up with her husband and a moving crew, and I was out there the next day.
Wow.
And I think back, when I think back, Alicia, when I think back about, you know, if I would have given someone the opportunity, they would have helped me in the way that I needed to and not thought less of me the way that I thought.
Right.
So I'm thankful for my friend Jennifer and all the other people who, within a week, all my friends knew, like a handful,
Right.
5 people knew, and they were all there for me in a way that I never imagined that I wanted or needed, but I needed and wanted both of those.
Right. Well,
Mhm.
that's awesome. I'm thankful for them as well. I'm thankful
Mhm.
that you were able to get that tribe that you needed right when you needed it. What do you say to other women who are where you were, or maybe have not even come to grips with the fact that they might be right now where you were previously? Because you said you kind of blocked out the reality of what you were dealing with. You became desensitized to it.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you connect to now, Dawn now, and her money, power, and respect?
Mhm.
Um, how do you get from that place to where you are now? What was the progression and evolution of your journey?
The number one thing was looking in the mirror and asking myself, is this what I want? Is this
Mm.
what I want? Not, is this what I deserve? Because for some reason, my mind was a little messed up and I thought I deserved what I had.
Yeah, that's the narcissism, right? That's
Yeah.
the
Yes.
effects of narcissistic abuse, is to make you feel like you're the problem and you are the one that needs to change.
I really
And
did. I
you
really,
know
really did. And I feel like the question I needed to really ask myself was, is this what Dawn wants? Is this what Dawn wants 6 months from now, 6 years from now? And the answer was no. The answer was
right.
no. And then the second question, I wish I would love to ask myself, my old self, would
Hmm.
be, who are the people in your life who love you, who you trust, or maybe that you don't even know, but you know that they're a resource for you,
Right.
who can lift you out. And there are hundreds and thousands of people who do this, like
Right.
this organization, like our team, like so many people. And so letting folks know that there are so many resources, and I will say, working in law enforcement and seeing a lot of the domestic abuse that
Hmm.
occurred, and seeing shelters and things like that, I didn't want anything to do with that. I didn't want
Right.
anything. Those are good. Those are good for
Hmm.
some people, right? And they've helped many, many people.
Right.
And there's other things that help people too. There's groups like yours, this organization. There's groups that help people piece together the things that need to be pieced together. And so I think I tell myself, you have resources and you
Right.
don't even know it. You have
Hmm.
resources and people who care about you and you don't even know it.
Yeah, I think that's good to focus on, because what helped you get to that realization was you stopped and you got enough outside of the moment to be able to ground for a minute and ask yourself some questions. And so much of the time, I feel like, especially we as women, we have this defense mechanism where we can just keep going and going. And especially a mother or someone in any kind of caretaker role, you get wrapped up in the everyday tasks and you never stop to sit with your own thoughts and ask yourself, is this what I want? What resources do I have? So the fact that those questions helped you to get out of that spin, I think is very telling and very helpful, and hopefully resonates with our audience as well, because you can stop and ask yourself those questions right now and get started, in a new direction, if that's what you feel led to do. So I
Yeah.
think that's a powerful reminder.
Yeah. And where I was 10 years ago
Hmm.
is completely different from where I am today. And even though I was successful in all of those things, I wasn't in my reflection in the mirror, right?
Right.
And
So
so,
talk to us a little bit about that. What is Dawn like on the inside today? Like, what is the difference and
yeah,
how different does it feel?
well, it feels amazing. I will tell you, it feels amazing, but it didn't start off that way.
Mm-hmm.
It started off very, I questioned if I was making the right decisions. And so I would tell my old self, remember, you're going to question yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and and it was hard to really get out of that mindset, but that release from that mindset was really, really, really key. And
Mm-hmm.
now life is amazing. I have really gone against the traditional forms of employment, of motherhood,
Mm-hmm.
of all of it, and found solutions that I never even knew existed. And
Right.
so now I run my own company, where we have a team of people who support people in the social service sector who are looking to really have that work life integration, that, amazing career stuff that we know is possible
Mm-hmm.
with that amazing home life that we also know is possible. And I feel like a lot of folks in the social service environment, the sworn or civilian,
Right.
men and women, fire, law enforcement, EMS, we have these like, you know, vests that we wear on, and we have to be strong. And yes, you are strong. And I was strong when I was bringing myself out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now my life is wonderful. It is abundant. There's no more scarcity. There's
That's
no
awesome.
more scarcity mindset. Our business is a successful six-figure business, which I never even thought was possible
Right.
when I was 10 years ago. I never even thought it was possible. And Alicia, I do exactly what I want to do. I
Wow.
love the work that I do. And I believe that I was freed up emotionally and mentally to really deliver excellence to our clients, because we decided. So
Mm.
I will tell you, my little girl is 10 now. The older one's 24. And the
Wow.
first one when I had a long time ago, and the second
Uh-huh.
one is 10. And we say, today's going to be a great day. Why? Because we decided. And it
Mm.
really truly starts with that decision. So if anyone
Yeah,
else
that's
there is,
power in and of itself. I think that that is really tying in and grabbing a hold of every day before you get your day started, that you have the power to make the decision and then you chart the day as opposed to the other way around.
yeah, we do. And when we truly, truly believe that, and we truly, truly understand that we are the CEOs of our lives,
Hmm.
then we make decisions differently.
Yes.
And we live life differently. We care about ourselves differently. And so the work that you all are doing to bring awareness and energy around this topic to me is spectacular. I love it. And I love that you are bringing it to so many people.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. The Supreme Love Project is all about just that. We want to make sure that people get connected to the fact that they can and will have supreme love for themselves in their lives and all that that can mean. Just like you said, you're completely opened up to so much more now because you decided. And I think that you being a part of this event, we're so glad to have you here and glad for you to be able to share your story with our audience, and hopefully someone resonates with exactly where you came from and gets to grab a hold of the hope of where they can be. I think it's important that you talked about the mask that different professional sectors wear sometimes, especially people who are dealing with other people's lives on a regular basis. And you said mask earlier. So talk a little bit about the barriers that we put up and how we get to break those down, not for the benefit of others, but for ourselves and what that can mean and look like.
Yeah, these masks are truly self-imposed. They're based out of fear. They're based out of, the scarcity mindset. But in my experience, in as a civilian in law enforcement, we're proving ourselves often, right?
Mm, mm-hmm.
We're, hiding behind these masks of perfection in my case, because I didn't want anyone to know any of the things that were wrong,
Right.
because I wanted that professional respect. And so I see this a lot in public sector because we are serving people, and because we are, we have to be the strong ones, because who else will it be, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so so often I see these masks, these chiefs, these executives, these captains, male and female, who feel like they need to be so strong, and they do, but they also need to be smart and have self-care and
Right.
work in a way that is nurturing and fulfilling for their own lives too.
Yeah, that's really telling and poignant. And I think not just your profession or what you do for a living on a daily basis. There are people who wear masks or put up barriers or have vests or whatever you feel like makes sense to you, because you're a woman in a certain industry,
Mhm.
or because you're a person of color in a particular field, or as an entrepreneur. There's multiple reasons that we feel like often that what you said, proving yourself, is what we focus on and hone in on. And I think making the distinction between proving yourself professionally and presenting yourself as, worthy of respect is one thing, but you also get to take care of yourself. Like you said, you get to have self-care. You get to think about your own mindfulness and spirituality and well-being. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because when we're talking about money, power, and respect, we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as well, because we can't really blossom into the fullness and abundance of what all of those things mean if we're bound by those blocks, by those barriers and masks and things that are holding us back.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And I think we can't really see that we're wearing a mask when we're
Hmm.
wearing the mask.
Right.
We might see that, life is good and I'm always happy and I'm always smiling. And you might feel that you're giving that positive energy to other people, to your kids, to your friends, to your social work, social environment,
Right. Your clients.
your
Sure.
clients.
Hmm.
But if you're not, you can only hold up that facade for so long.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what it is. And so when that becomes your method of operation, you die inside.
It's not sustainable. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, opening up and being able to create work life integration in a way that's healthy and amazingly happy, and removes a portion of the mask in time to the right
Hmm.
people, I think is really key. And, quite honestly, this is probably, other than my personal clients who, in one session a little while ago, not anyone else has really heard some of the details of this. And so I want to thank you for, allowing me to release my mask even 10 years later today. So I thank you for that.
Well, wow, that's awesome to hear. We appreciate you practicing what you preach and being vulnerable here with our audience today, because the more examples we get of what we can do after we come to the realization that we're worth taking the chance on ourselves,
Mhm.
that we're worth doing the work on ourselves and with and through ourselves, and what can be on the other side of that, I think hopefully the more people get to see that, yeah, it's my turn now. And so that is exactly what we want to share with you, our audience, that just like Dawn has come into this whole new life for herself, that it can be your turn now, and you can follow her example and be vulnerable and take your mask off, and know that you have a community here in Dawn and her team, and you have a community here at the Supreme Love Project that will support you. Um, Dawn, I want to ask you, you say specifically work-life integration when I know maybe a more popular term is work-life balance. Why do you differentiate?
So I personally don't believe that there is work-life balance. I think that
Is
if
that a
we
myth?
it's a myth. It's a myth. I think if we really think about it, we can't give all of ourselves to everything that needs our attention all at the same time.
Hmm.
And instead, really thinking about this work life integration or this work life harmony. And I use the
Oh, I
word,
like that.
yeah, I love work life harmony. I think that's a beautiful saying.
Hmm.
Um, in particularly the integration piece, because I think we feel like we need to be so separate, but it's
Right.
often the beauty of that home life, that self-care, that connection piece, and the connection piece is big, that makes our work even more impactful and effective. And that's really why I build in the two, that work-life
Mm.
integration piece, to
Mm-hmm.
highlight that, you might have someone at work right now who's afraid to show their home life because they're wearing a mask, or you might know somebody a friend who's afraid because they don't want to have a perceived notion about them that they're not strong. And
Right.
so that's why I think we really need to consider this an integration, to always be thinking about, overall, work and life should be happy together,
Right. It's possible.
It's possible. It truly, truly is. And, we think about what, Alicia, when I think about where I was before, I was generating income, but my money was tied up. Somehow my money got tied up in my relationship. I don't even know
Right.
how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow my energy got tied up in that relationship, and all these, my emotions and all the things got tied up. And I really, when I thought about leaving, I thought, who else is going to want me? I have two kids by two different dads,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm, like, who else is going to want me? That was in my brain. And then I thought, I can't afford it. He has all my money.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And so I had all these barriers. And so I think that, I know this really isn't the work-life integration piece, but I think that there were resources at my work that really could have supported me. There were people and friends and, an environment of like, this is what we did for other people. We helped
Right.
other
Exactly.
people,
Mm-hmm.
and that could have really helped me in a way that would have made that less of of a burdensome transition, right? So
Right.
hiding it was the burden. And so, and so I think that when I think of where my mindset was then, which
Mm-hmm.
was, how will I ever pick up pieces, you know? And now what it is now is, how would I ever be like that again?
Right.
It's so different. So I encourage anyone here who's really battling with that emotion, that specific intensity, that, what will I do? It doesn't matter. It will be done. Whatever path it is, whatever how it is, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The why is why to do it. For you,
Right.
for the life that you want and that you deserve, is really the bigger piece.
That is so good. That is so good. I think you're coming to that feeling that you're worth it, that you might not have the how, but your why is you and you're worth it. Your why was your daughters, your why was what you weren't willing to put up with anymore, and that was enough to get your foot out the door. That was enough to start you on a new path, or at least point you in a new direction, even if you weren't sure what the first step was going to be.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yes.
I think that's really helpful to anyone in any situation that you might not know your how right now. More than likely you don't. That's where the hesitation and fear comes from, is that not knowing. But getting connected to your why, you can do that right now.
That's exactly right. You can do that right now. And I will say, I remember when I first left, I joined Zumba because I knew mentally I was in a space of undeserving. I was in a
Hmm.
space of, what am I doing? And I knew that community was something that I really needed. And I didn't really have community because I was so isolated. I had my work
Right.
community, but I was still wearing the mask, right? And I had my
Hmm.
friends, but I was still wearing the mask. So I joined Zumba, and I remember going to Zumba every single week and just like having this crazy energy. And Natasha, the Zumba instructor, just was this big, huge smile. And she had no idea what that smile meant to me.
Right.
She had no idea what that
Wow.
smile meant. But I showed up because I knew, even when I didn't feel like it, I showed up because I knew
Hmm.
it would be healthy. And so, that mindset piece, that showing up piece, that community piece, those are the pieces to be thinking about as you're transitioning, because that's exactly what it is, a transition
Yeah.
into the greatness that you deserve.
Right. Oh, I like that. Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, mindset, community, and showing up for yourself, that is exactly what we preach and teach here at the Supreme Love Project. We build very specific, supportive community structures. We
Yeah.
encourage everyone to show up as much as possible. And
Mhm.
once you're here, we work on mindset. So I think, the way that those things resonate across different communities, from different leaders like yourself and like Jeanine, it's not accidental. It's because these are the things that get to work. These are the things that help you actually transition. These are the things that help you move forward in your journey. So again, to anyone listening, just know that number one, you can get started right now. You can get back your money, your power, and your respect, no matter what you've lived through. If it's something like Don's story, or if it's something completely different, you still get to point in a new direction, and you get to get yourself some community, and you get to work on your mindset when you show up. So I think those are great, great tips. And I appreciate you sharing those. I wanted to ask you, Don, what is it that you think are some tips or tools that you really rely on to keep you grounded in your new self, your new life? Because a lot of times we feel like, especially when different things remind us, um, that you might still be that same person, you know? So how do you stay connected to who you are right now today?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I it's called My Life by Design. So what I did is with a coach, because this is hard stuff, right? We gotta
Hmm.
have a coach to walk us through this. And so what I did is I designed the life that I really wanted. And it took a while to figure that piece of it out. But I
Right.
looked at family. What do I want my family to look like? And from the analyst background in me, I wanted it written down. I
Hmm.
wanted, it all like on paper. And so I spent a lot of time really defining what do I want my family to look like? Like
Hmm.
what do I want that environment to feel like, look like, taste like? Where do I want to go? How do I want to feel when I'm there? And
Mm.
then I did the same thing for my friends. What do I want my relationship with my friends to feel like? How often do I want to see my friends?
Hmm.
What kind of friends do I have? What circle of community do I have? And then I did that for my career, for my relationship, for my body, for my mindset. So I used this bubble chart in my head, right? So
Hmm.
I was the this bubble chart. There's a book called Abundance Now that was really inspiring to me. And
Okay.
so looking at all these key areas of life, and I really just sat and created the life that I wanted by design, no matter what it looked like, right?
Hmm.
No matter how far fetched it looked, right? Everything down to the flowy white curtains in my kitchen that would be blowing in the breeze.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. And so when I struggle, right,
Hmm.
I open this thing up and I remind myself of where I am today and how far I've come and where
Right.
I'm going to continue to go. And I get super ultra present with the me now and the new me and the mindset. But sometimes I really do need to go back and I say, where am I going? I open up my little book.
Right. Like a map. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Exactly like a map. Because I truly believe that we don't know, we can't get to where we're going unless
Hmm.
we've defined where we're going. And
Right.
so and so that can evolve over time as we speak to beautiful people like you and Jeanine and the groups and the energies and all different ideas come into our minds as we read. That may evolve, right? Our life by
Right.
design may evolve. And so being committed to that design and being committed to looking at that design and adjusting that design is really something that has been monumental in my shift. And so when I hear things on a podcast, I open up my design and I'm like, I want to do that.
Yes, that too. We're adding that as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, exactly. So
That's
that would
really
be my
cool.
tip, is to sit and don't rush it. This is going to take a while. Get a coach who
Hmm.
can really connect with you about creating your new life. And then you can engineer the environments to actually get there.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah. Say that one more time. Get a coach.
Yeah, get a coach, find your life by design, spend the time designing it, and know where you're going, even if
Hmm.
it shifts a little bit, know where you're going, and then engineer those environments backwards. Yeah.
That is such a good tip and a great tool. And I think you're, again, spot on with the same kind of messages that we like to share here.
Mhm.
That is the benefit of coaching and being in an environment where you have someone that can not do it for you, but at least help you know what you get to do that works, and that you can be supported in doing that work for yourself, because sometimes you have to clear out so much before you can even figure out what you really want. And
Exactly.
then once you figure it out, it might seem too daunting because you're not sure what are the steps you get to take to get there.
Yeah.
So the things that you've shared with making your bubble chart and your map, your life by design, and then backwards engineering how to get there, that's so smart. And it seems like something that you really get to graduate into after you've done the work that you have done. So thank you again, Don. This has been such a great time getting to talk with you and hear more about your story. And we're so honored that you came to share that with us, especially after hearing that it's not something that you have yet really shared widely. So we really appreciate your authenticity and being vulnerable with our audience here today, and truly believe that someone is going to resonate with your message and just your journey here today. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Great. Dawn, tell us a little bit about your free gift. I know you have something good for us. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're offering our audience?
Yeah. So because the bubble design, that bubble chart works so well for me, I put it on paper. I put it on paper, nice little bubbles with a short little video to help anyone get started on designing the life that they want by design. So, you can print it out. It's free. You can just print it out, listen to the short video, and start to dream, start to really
Yes.
think about what you want in your
Mhm.
life. And Alicia, I gotta say, with you, Jeanine, the team, I wish I would have known of a group like yours 10
Mm.
years ago. It was, I don't know if I almost sometimes don't know how I actually did it, like how I
Yeah.
actually got out. And
Mhm.
so I feel like if I would have known the resources like you that exist, I would have latched on like, with clamps,
Mhm.
knowing that, there's going to be there's going to be the mindset shifts in my head, knowing that the cobwebs are there, knowing that there's a team of people to help brush those away and help me really, get centered and focused. So I appreciate the work you do. And for the other folks who are kind of, thinking about, hey, I want to start to think about my life by design, print out that bubble chart, listen to the short little video and get started. That's the
Yes.
step. Just get
Mhm.
started. Absolutely.
Indeed.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Dawn, so much. You are so delightful and so insightful and just so giving with your journey and your knowledge. And we are so glad to have you as a part of our Money, Power, and Respect revival.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing up so powerfully in your own life and letting that ripple out to affect your clients, your audience, our audience, and all the other many people that will be impacted for the better.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, that has been Dawn, and I am again Alicia, and this is the Money, Power, Respect Revival, and we will see you again soon.